Hello there and welcome to the Bicycle Diaries. Here we are, it's mid-November and last week I managed to do 4 rides. Admittedly 3 of them were indoors on the turbo trainer, but the ride I managed to do out on the road was 40 kilometres along one of my favourite routes up Bevis's Thumb. Now the weather that day wasn't great, it was fairly overcast and dull and very windy, but I went out because primarily I was testing out the Reflect 360 jacket from Provis, and I'll be publishing that review very shortly. Unfortunately, at the moment here in England we are under lockdown due to COVID. Now I say here in England because as far as I'm aware the other parts of the UK like Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland are subject to slightly different rules, but at the moment the government are advising that all unnecessary businesses to be closed. They're also advising people to work from home wherever possible, and they're also advising not to make any unnecessary journeys. Now, unlike back in March when we were locked down for 3 months, the rules for exercise are slightly different. Back then, we were only allowed to go out for 1 exercise session a day, but now we're allowed to go out for as many exercise sessions per day as we like. There's no restriction on how far we can travel away from our home while doing that exercise, and we can even do that exercise with one other person that we don't live with as long as we maintain social distancing protocols. So as far as cycling goes, it's pretty much business as usual. That said, the reason I did 3 turbo trainer sessions last week wasn't the lockdown. The main culprit was in fact the weather. As you can imagine, here in southern England in mid-November, the weather's not going to be great. It's very wet and it's very windy. Plus, I also fancied joining in the Jolly Good Velo meetup on Zwift on Tuesday evening. Last week I was also invited to become a brand ambassador by Raleigh and Saris. Now Saris are currently running a Winter Miles challenge on Strava, and if you want to take part, all you need to do is go on to Strava and sign up, and then you have to ride 4 hours either out on the road or indoors on a turbo trainer between the 16th and the 22nd of November. And if you do that, you're entered into a draw and you could potentially win a smart trainer setup worth £1,800. Part of this invite has meant that Saris has very kindly sent me one of their H3 smart trainers to try out. Now I have to admit here that I've never used a smart trainer in my life, so I had no idea what to expect, and so far I've only done 1 ride using the H3, and that was more to just get it set up and just to get an idea of how it all works. I used it with Zwift, and I have to say it was quite an eye-opener. Up until now I've been using a fairly cheap dumb trainer, and all that can do is just apply a little bit of resistance to the rear wheel, but by contrast using the H3 with Zwift is completely different. I was very surprised to learn that it can simulate the riding conditions, including the gradients, so that was quite a surprise. It's a lot quieter than a regular turbo trainer, and being a direct drive trainer, it's a lot more responsive. So far my initial thoughts have been very favourable. Now I'm not going to be doing a formal review of this H3 as such. I'm going to be using it to do the Winter Miles challenge, plus a few other indoor turbo training sessions and rides on Zwift. But if you'd like to know a bit more about Saris and the turbo trainers that they make, I'll include a link to their website in the description below. Another thing that I've learnt this week is that many smart trainers can be controlled by cycling computers. So essentially what you do is create a workout, install that onto your cycling computer in the form of a fit file, and then when you do that workout, the cycling computer talks to your smart trainer, and then the smart trainer controls all the gradients and the power output and stuff. Now, I don't really understand it fully at the moment, but my understanding is that those fit files can be shared, and for me this is going to be an absolute game changer. I discovered this after chatting with a friend of mine called Chris. Now Chris is a very experienced fitness instructor, and over the last couple of weeks Chris and I have been working to put together a series of turbo trainer workouts for the channel, although obviously the lockdown has been making that fairly challenging recently. The good news though is that we've managed to put one together, and it's a workout that can be done by literally anybody. So it doesn't matter if you've got a smart turbo trainer, a dumb turbo trainer, a set of rollers, or even a static exercise bike. You should be able to do this workout. Now Chris has entitled it a Hill Conqueror, and it's designed to improve your hill climbing abilities and building your leg strength and your endurance. It's the first of many workouts. I hope to have it live on the channel a bit later this week, so keep an eye out for that.
20 seconds to go.
And with that, let's have a look at my numbers for this week. So far I've ridden 120 kilometers. I've got 4 hours and 50 minutes of seat time, and I've climbed 1,032 meters, and that brings the year's total to 5,795 kilometers ridden. I've got 249 hours of seat time, and I've climbed 57,957 meters. So if we go over to Strava, we can see that on Tuesday my fitness was 55, on Wednesday it was 47, Thursday it was 47, and then on Friday it was still 47. This means that I've successfully hit the targets that I've set for myself this week. And if you don't know what that was to ride between 3 and 7 hours at a fairly easy, leisurely pace. The weather forecast for the coming week is a bit of a mixed bag. We do have some dry conditions, but we also have the more familiar wet and windy conditions as well. Although obviously having the H3 Smart Trainer set up means that I can do a lot of my cycling indoors if I so choose. That said, the plan next week is to go out and try and complete the 4 hours of the Saris Winter Miles challenge. I would like to do that out on the road, but yes, if it is too wet and if it is too windy, I will be completing it on the H3. Thanks for watching.